I watched Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom synced up with the Dark Side of the Moon, and, it didn't work great, but there were some moments. When the lyrics begin in Breathe, it's the moment when the dancers begin pulling those big red cloths out of each other during the musical number. And just aesthetically, it's nice. The flowing red cloths, the dancers. It doesn't have the same energy it's supposed to in the movie. It feels just kind of dreamlike, and that's kind of nice. There's a moment in On the Run where one of the villains laughs at Indiana Jones after he's been poisoned, and it syncs up with a laugh in On the Run. What looks like the moment Indy's companion's soul leaves his body is when the alarms go off in Time. Time plays throughout the whole car chase and getting on the airplane, and then it ends precisely when Indiana Jones puts his hat on to go to sleep. Then we get into The Great Gig in the Sky, and the vocals, the big, powerful vocals in the middle of the song, they begin immediately when the pilots open the plane and all the feathers are going everywhere before they jump off. The Great Gig in the Sky continues during the raft sequence, throughout the entire raft sequence, and just makes it, instead of it being this action-packed scene, or even looking ridiculous, it just kind of looks beautiful. I gotta be honest. And that track ends like right when the raft sequence ends, when they're just kind of relaxed enough and they start floating along nicely on the river. Money begins to play as they enter the village, and it's pretty appropriate that everybody is coming up to them asking for money. It's a hit. Us and Them continues to play as they're riding on the elephants and they're going towards the palace, and at this point in the viewing experience, with everything on mute and just Dark Side of the Moon playing, the whole movie just suddenly felt like it was about Willie. For this short period of time, it's all about Willie and her struggle with being in a place that she deems as dirty, because she's used to luxury and diamonds and nice things and perfume. And there's just something about the music that sort of not only focuses on her, but sort of accentuates her relative struggle with everything going on. And speaking of Willie, there's a phenomenal timed action here when she falls off the elephant and then she splashes to a big part of Us and Them. So Us and Them continues into the campfire scene, and again, if you're watching this movie just straightforward, you're supposed to be laughing at Willie, and she's running all over the place. She's screaming at all these different animals. She's not used to the jungle. Indy and Short Round, they've been everywhere. They're used to this. It's all old hat. But with the audio on mute, Dark Side of the Moon playing, it had a completely different tone. I felt angry at Indy and Short Round that they're not caring for this poor woman. It all seemed way more serious from her point of view. She's genuinely terrified, and we have two people who just couldn't care less. As it gets into Any Color You Like, there's a nice part where the elephant is sort of hitting Willie on beat with the song. Brain Damage continues into the palace, and Eclipse begins right as this dolly shot starts in on Chatar. Unfortunately, the album ends right when the weird food starts to get served at dinner. I was really hoping for some good sync-ups here, but nothing much except for an organ crescendo right when Willie gets served a monkey head. All your life will ever be. Run. Then we get into On the Run and Time, and there's almost nothing syncing up here. At this point in the viewing experience, I was pretty disheartened until I got to the Spike Room. There's a line in Time where it says, "It's good to warm my bones beside the fire." That line is said precisely when there are bones warming themselves by the fire. It's good to warm my bones beside the fire. Great Gig in the Sky finishes out the Spike Room sequence and ends almost exactly when Indiana rolls out of the room and then grabs his hat. Great Gig continues as Indy, Willie, and Short Round discover the temple. Some great imagery here with the song. Money plays, and it works pretty well because we have kind of a band already playing in the scene and all these worshipers that are waving their hands, and in the film they're chanting, but hey, to me, they're singing Money by Pink Floyd. And there's a really nice timed cut here with the doors opening during the sacrifice, and this drummer is drumming precisely on beat. And right around when one of the Saqqara stones is revealed, Money hits a climax, and then all the different worshipers, they're all standing up, they're going crazy, and it feels like a concert. Nothing really for Us and Them the second time around. Any Color You Like kind of adds some creepiness to Indy getting brainwashed. The moment this other version of Indy sort of washes over him. Now for this sacrifice scene with Willie, instead of Money playing, we've got Brain Damage. And there's just another great sync here with the doors opening and Willie screaming. You shout and no one seems to hear. Another nice sync here after Indy hits Short Round and laughs at him. And into Eclipse as Indy snaps out of it. Works really well with the fight scene. Some nice well-timed throws into the fire, some punches. And all you create, and all you destroy, and all that you do, and all that you say. The album starts over, and Breathe is playing as Indy frees all the child slaves. And it kind of adds another level to it. It just feels more heroic. Like, instead of just straight up, pulpy, fun, heroic, hey, free all the kids. It feels like this real personal victory for Indy. Like he's doing something good in his heart. And I don't know, it just feels kind of more introspective and personal and specific to Indy for some reason. Breathe in the air. Nothing for On the Run, but Time is playing for the bulk of the minecart sequence, and it's just rocks. I don't know, it works. It just works. Great Gig in the Sky is playing as they get out of the mine. They get to the bridge. There's a real nice sync up with an alligator. Looks like he's singing. Then we got Money during the rest of the bridge sequence. And one more pretty satisfying sync up near the end. Indy is victorious. He's about to kiss Willie and get sprayed with water by the elephant. And the elephant kind of rears its trunk right as the horns begin in Us and Them. So overall, it's this Dark Side of the Moon viewing. It's okay. Raiders is definitely better than this one, I think. But this one had its moments that really, I think this one had some better specific moments that I liked. By the way, at this point, I don't even know if I'm doing this genuinely or ironically, but I might just keep doing this, and I'm probably going to do Last Crusade. But if anybody has any other suggestions for Dark Side of the Moon viewings, no matter how bizarre, I'm probably going to do it. Type in the comments there, see which Dark Side of the Moon movie I should do next, and I will, and I'll probably do it.